The grand manor was quiet, with only the soft crackling of the fire breaking the stillness in the living room. Yria, Tiff, Vicky, and Emma were seated comfortably, basking in the warmth of the fire. The elegant room, adorned with fine art and luxurious furnishings, was a picture of tranquility. Mrs. Betty, the Manor's beloved cook, entered the room with her usual grace. She approached the girls, her soft voice blending seamlessly with the serene ambience. "Ladies," she began, a gentle smile on her face. "The chef has everything prepared in the kitchen. He's ready for you to join him whenever you are ready." Yria smiled warmly and turned to her friends. "This is a special treat. Chef Laurent Devereux has come all the way from Paris to be with us tonight. He is known for his exquisite creations in some of the most luxurious restaurants around the world. I've heard he has a particular talent for blending traditional flavors with modern techniques. I think we're in for an unforgettable experience." Tiff and Vicky exchanged excited glances, while Emma nodded in eager anticipation. "Let's go meet him," Yria continued, standing gracefully from her seat. The girls rose, their movements fluid and unhurried, reflecting the elegance of their surroundings. They made their way through the spacious halls of the manor, the soft padding of their footsteps barely audible against the polished floors. As they entered the kitchen, they were greeted by the sight of Chef Laurent, who had already set out an array of luxurious dessert samples and ingredients on the countertop. The kitchen, with its marble countertops and state-of-the-art appliances, was alive with the possibilities of the evening. Chef Laurent stood ready, his demeanor warm and welcoming, exuding the quiet confidence of a master at his craft. "Good evening, ladies," he greeted them with a smile, his voice as soft and rich as the atmosphere around them. "Tonight, I have prepared 4 different desserts for you to choose from. Each one is crafted with the finest ingredients and represents the epitome of luxury." The girls exchanged eager glances, intrigued by the chef's offerings. The chef began to introduce the desserts, gesturing to each one in turn. First, saffron and white chocolate panna cotta. This is a velvety panna cotta, infused with the delicate flavor of saffron, paired with a layer of white chocolate. It's topped with edible gold leaf and served with candied rose petals. 2. Lavender honey and almond financier. These delicate almond cakes are infused with lavender and honey, offering a perfect balance of sweetness and floral notes. 3. Ruby chocolate and raspberry entremets. This entremet showcases the vibrant flavors of ruby chocolate and raspberry, with layers of mousse, gelée, and almond sponge. 4. and last, Tahitian vanilla and black truffle ice cream. Finally, we have a truly decadent ice cream made with Tahitian vanilla beans and a hint of black truffle, garnished with truffle salt. The girls looked at each other, taking in the exquisite options before them. Each dessert was more tempting than the last, and the decision was not an easy one. They all sound incredible, Vicky said softly, her eyes scanning the beautiful desserts. But we can only choose one. After a moment of quiet discussion, Yria turned to the chef with a smile. We've decided on the saffron and white chocolate panna cotta. It sounds delightful, and the combination of saffron and white chocolate is so unique. Chef Laurent's eyes lit up with approval. An excellent choice, he replied, his tone both pleased and eager to begin. This will be a hands-on experience, so I'll guide you through each step as you prepare the panna cotta yourselves. The girls, eager to begin, moved closer to the counter where the ingredients were laid out. Chef Laurent gestured to the ingredients for the panna cotta, his voice calm and measured as he began to instruct them. Here are the quantities we'll be using, he began, pointing to the items on the counter. We'll need 500 milliliters of heavy cream, 100 grams of white chocolate, 50 grams of sugar, 3 to 4 threads of saffron, and 2 grams of agar-agar, which is a vegetarian gelatin substitute. As Yria began measuring the heavy cream, Chef Laurent took a moment to pause and turned to the group. Before we proceed, I think it would be beneficial to explore some of these ingredients more closely. Understanding what we're working with can enhance the overall experience, he suggested with a knowing smile. He picked up a small jar containing the saffron threads, holding it out for the girls to see. Saffron is often considered the world's most expensive spice, and for good reason. It's derived from the flower of Crocus sativus, and it takes around 75,000 saffron blossoms to produce a single pound of the spice. That's why we use it sparingly. He passed the jar to Vicky, who opened it carefully, inhaling the subtle, honey-like aroma. Her eyes widened slightly as she passed it along to Tiff and Emma. "It's so delicate," Tiff murmured, examining the tiny red gold threads. "Indeed," Chef Laurent agreed. "And when we add it to our panna cotta, it will infuse not only its beautiful color, but also a rich, earthy flavor that complements the sweetness of the white chocolate." Next, the chef picked up a block of white chocolate, its surface smooth and slightly glossy. White chocolate, as you might know, is made from cocoa butter, sugar, and milk solids. Unlike dark chocolate, it doesn't contain cocoa solids, which is why it has a creamier, milder flavor. When melted into our panna cotta, it will add a silky texture and a subtle sweetness. Emma took a piece of the chocolate, letting it melt slowly on her tongue. "It's so smooth," she remarked, appreciating the richness. "And that smoothness will carry through in our dessert," Chef Laurent added with a nod. He then turned his attention to the agar-agar, holding up the small container of the powdered gelatin substitute. Agar-agar is derived from seaweed, and it's a popular vegetarian alternative to gelatin. It has a slightly firmer set than animal-based gelatin, which will give our panna cotta a nice, clean finish. It's also odorless and tasteless, so it won't interfere with the delicate balance of flavors we're creating. Yria examined the fine powder, noting how light and airy it felt between her fingers. "I've never used this before," she admitted. "It's a wonderful ingredient," Chef Laurent assured her. "And once you see how it works in the panna cotta, I think you'll appreciate its versatility." With their exploration of the ingredients complete, the girls were ready to move forward with the preparation. Yria measured out the heavy cream, pouring it carefully into a polished stainless steel saucepan. The other girls followed suit, each taking on a different task as the chef guided them. "Tiff, could you please measure out the sugar and add it to the cream?" Chef Laurent asked gently. "Vicky, you can prepare the saffron. Just a few threads will infuse the cream with its beautiful color and flavor." Tiff added the sugar to the cream, stirring gently as it began to dissolve. Vicky, meanwhile, carefully selected a few saffron threads, adding them to the warming cream with a delicate touch. Emma, would you like to handle the white chocolate? Chef Laurent suggested. Chop it finely so it melts smoothly when we add it to the warm cream. Emma nodded, her expression one of focused concentration, as she chopped the white chocolate into even pieces. The sound of the knife against the cutting board was soft and rhythmic, adding to the calming ambience of the kitchen. As the cream warmed and the saffron infused its rich color, Chef Laurent continued to offer gentle guidance. Now that the cream is infused with saffron, we'll combine it with the white chocolate, Chef Laurent instructed. Yria, would you like to do the honors? Yria smiled as she poured the warm saffron-infused cream over the chopped white chocolate, stirring slowly to create a smooth, luxurious mixture. The aroma of saffron and chocolate filled the kitchen, enveloping them in a comforting warmth. The key here, Chef Laurent explained softly, is to stir gently until the chocolate is fully melted and the mixture is smooth. It should have a silky texture. The girls took turns stirring the mixture, each enjoying the process of watching the ingredients melt together. The kitchen was filled with quiet conversation, the girls sharing their thoughts on the process and the delicious aroma that surrounded them. Once the mixture was smooth and well combined, Chef Laurent introduced the agar-agar. Now, we'll add the agar-agar, he said, holding up the small container of the powdery substance. It needs to be dissolved in hot water before we mix it into the panna cotta base. The chef demonstrated how to dissolve the agar-agar in a small pot of boiling water, stirring it until it was completely dissolved. He then handed the pot to Vicky, who carefully poured the mixture into the saffron and white chocolate cream, stirring to ensure it was evenly distributed. This step is crucial, Chef Laurent emphasized. The agar-agar must be fully incorporated to ensure that the panna cotta sets properly and has that perfect, delicate wobble. With the base prepared, the girls poured the mixture into elegant glass molds, each one reflecting the refined taste of the manor. Chef Laurent guided them as they filled each mold to just the right level, ensuring that the panna cotta would set beautifully. These will need to chill for a few hours, Chef Laurent said, placing the filled molds into the refrigerator. During that time, the flavors will melt together and the panna cotta will set perfectly. As they waited for the panna cotta to set, Chef Laurent suggested a fun and educational activity. While we wait, how about a little culinary quiz? It's always good to test our knowledge and maybe learn something new along the way, he proposed, his eyes twinkling with enthusiasm. The girls, intrigued by the idea, eagerly agreed. All right, Chef Laurent began. First question. Easy, because we saw this earlier. What is the primary difference between using agar-agar and traditional gelatin in desserts like panna cotta? Emma raised her hand slightly, smiling. Agar-agar is derived from seaweed, making it vegetarian, while traditional gelatin is made from animal collagen. Also, agar-agar sets firmer and can hold up better in warmer temperatures. Chef Laurent nodded in approval. Exactly right. And as you've seen, it's quite versatile and doesn't interfere with the flavors of the dessert. He continued with another question. Next, to see if you remember, can anyone tell me why saffron is considered the most expensive spice in the world? Tiff chimed in. It's because saffron comes from the quakerous flower and it takes a huge number of flowers, around 75,000, to produce just a pound of saffron. The harvesting process is also very labor-intensive too. Correct, Chef Laurent confirmed. The harvesting is done by hand, which adds to its rarity and cost. But as you'll soon taste, a little goes a long way in terms of flavor and aroma. The quiz continued with questions about the different ingredients they used, techniques in making the panna cotta, and even a few fun facts about the history of the dessert. Finally, Chef Laurent asked a slightly more challenging question. What would happen if we added too much agar-agar to our panna cotta? Vicky pondered for a moment before responding. I think it would make the panna cotta too firm, almost like jelly, and it might lose that smooth, creamy texture we're aiming for. Chef Laurent smiled, clearly impressed. Exactly. The balance is key, especially in delicate desserts like this. Well done, everyone. You've all done wonderfully. The girls beamed with pride at their newly tested culinary knowledge. Now, Chef Laurent said, as the panna cottas were nearly set, let's prepare the finishing touches. We'll make a saffron syrup and candied rose petals to elevate our dessert even further. Yria and Tiff worked together to create the saffron syrup, combining water, sugar, and a few more saffron threads in a saucepan. They simmered the mixture gently, watching as it reduced to a rich, golden syrup. Meanwhile, Emma and Vicky prepared the candied rose petals, brushing each petal with a light coating of syrup before sprinkling them with fine sugar. The petals were then placed on a baking sheet and left to dry, their delicate edges sparkling in the light. The group also prepared the tiny gold leaves to complete the preparation. As they were finishing up the garnishes, Mrs. Betty entered the kitchen, her warm smile lighting up the room. She watched the girls at work, clearly pleased with their progress. "Everything looks wonderful," Mrs. Betty said approvingly. "I couldn't resist coming to see how you all were doing." Chef Laurent turned to her with a respectful nod. "Mrs. Betty, it's an honor to have you here. Your reputation as a cook precedes you." Mrs. Betty chuckled softly. "Thank you, Chef. I've been cooking in this manner for many years, but I must say, watching you all work on this panna cotta has been a delight. It reminds me of a special recipe that's been in my family for generations. A warm beverage that I believe would pair perfectly with this dessert." The girls looked at Mrs. Betty with curiosity, and Chef Laurent's interest was piqued. "A family recipe, you say? I would love to learn it," Chef Laurent said sincerely. "It's not often I get to be the student." Mrs. Betty smiled, clearly touched. "Well then, let's get started. This is a spiced honey and herbal tea. My grandmother used to make it on cool evenings. It's soothing, aromatic, and complements sweet desserts beautifully." She began gathering the ingredients, a selection of fresh herbs from the Manor's garden, including rosemary, thyme, and mint, along with a jar of golden honey, a few cinnamon sticks, and slices of fresh lemon. First, we'll steep the herbs in hot water to extract their flavors, Mrs. Betty explained as she placed the herbs in a teapot. The key is to let them steep just long enough to release the oils without becoming too strong. Chef Laurent watched closely, clearly enjoying the role reversal. "This blend of herbs is delightful. It's subtle but adds depth to the tea," he remarked, appreciating the aromatic steam rising from the pot. Mrs. Betty smiled and continued. "Now we'll add a few cinnamon sticks and slices of lemon to the pot. The cinnamon adds warmth, and the lemon brings a bright note that balances the sweetness of the honey." She carefully placed the cinnamon and lemon into the teapot, then added a generous drizzle of honey, stirring gently to combine the flavors. "We'll let this steep for a few more minutes, then it will be ready to serve," Mrs. Betty said, her voice soft and soothing. This tea has always been a family favorite, perfect for winding down at the end of the day. As the tea steeped, the kitchen was filled with a cozy warmth, the perfect complement to the elegant atmosphere of the evening. The girls watched with admiration as Mrs. Betty skillfully prepared the tea, her movements confident and practiced. When the tea was ready, Mrs. Betty carefully poured it into delicate china cups, the fragrant steam rising gently. She garnished each cup with a small sprig of mint and a thin slice of lemon. "Here you are, chef," Mrs. Betty said, handing him a cup with a gentle smile. "I hope you enjoy it as much as my family has over the years." Chef Laurent took a sip, his eyes lighting up with delight. "This is marvelous, Mrs. Betty. The blend of herbs, honey, and spices is soothing, yet invigorating. It's the perfect accompaniment to our panna cotta." The girls each took a cup, savoring the warm, fragrant tea. The combination of the spiced honey tea and the delicate panna cotta created a harmonious balance of flavors, making the evening even more memorable. "This tea is incredible," Yria said softly, her voice filled with appreciation. "Thank you, Mrs. Betty, for sharing this with us. I know I have always asked you to stick to my favorite mint tea, but from now on, I will want to drink a lot more of this new one, please." Mrs. Betty's eyes sparkled with warmth. "Surely I'll make it for you. And it was my pleasure, dear. I'm so glad you all enjoyed it. It's moments like these that make cooking so special, bringing people together and creating memories." The kitchen was filled with a sense of accomplishment as the girls, Chef Laurent, and Mrs. Betty shared in the joy of the evening. The saffron and white chocolate panna cotta, paired with the spiced honey and herbal tea, was a true masterpiece of flavors, each element carefully crafted and thoughtfully prepared. As the evening drew to a close, the fire in the distant fireplace continued to crackle softly, the only sound in the manor as the night grew deeper. The panna cotta and tea, now enjoyed and remembered, had become part of the manor's history, a new chapter in its rich and storied past.